At 6:40 on a Monday morning, the building was open, the lights were on, and every dashboard looked normal. But one routine depended on a handwritten reminder tucked inside a control room binder. When the person who knew that reminder called in sick, the building did not fail all at once. It simply stopped behaving the way everyone assumed it would. How many temporary fixes in your building have already become part of the permanent operating model?
More than most teams realize.
And usually the people carrying those fixes think they are just being helpful.
Right. Somebody keeps the comfort stable, gets people through the door, or makes sure a check happens before occupancy. The building keeps moving, so the exception disappears into the routine.
Until the routine meets a bad day.
Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Morgan. Today we're looking at the workaround trap, the temporary bypass, manual check, or informal process that restores service today but quietly creates operational debt tomorrow. Michael Harrington is here with a property and continuity perspective, and James Rogers brings facilities, building automation, and maintenance experience. Gentlemen, good to have you here.
Good to be here. That opening felt uncomfortably familiar.
Glad to join you, Alex.
Let's stay with that feeling. When a team says, we have a workaround, what might they really be describing?
They may be describing a sensible contingency, or they may be describing a second operating model that nobody formally approved. From an operational standpoint, the difference is visibility. Do we know why the exception exists, what outcome it protects, who is responsible for it, and when we will review it?
And can somebody else perform it? That matters on a Tuesday morning when the regular technician is there. It matters even more on a weekend, during a handoff, or when several small issues arrive together.
So operational debt is not simply a list of things that are broken.
Correct. It is the accumulated cost of keeping an imperfect condition alive without making the cost visible. That cost can be extra labor, inconsistent service, uncertainty during an emergency, a physical security exception, or a tenant-facing process that depends on one person's memory.
The building may be technically available while the operation is quietly getting more fragile.
Give us a real-world pattern. Keep it anonymous, but walk us through how one of these fixes is born.
Here is a common one. After a building transition, a scheduling issue in the building automation system causes a few areas to drift warmer than expected during the first hour of occupancy. The team needs comfort restored quickly. They adjust the schedule manually each morning, and the result is good enough to get people through the day. Nobody is being careless. They are responding to a real condition.
That is fine until it fails.
Exactly. The manual adjustment works so consistently that people stop calling it temporary. A new operator learns it as part of the morning round. The project team assumes the issue was resolved. Property management hears only that comfort is stable. 6 months later, the system is online, but the intended sequence is no longer the process people trust.
Wait, back up. At what point does a useful response become a risk?
When the response has no owner, no review point, and no clear path back to normal.
I would put consequence before paperwork.
Fair. If the workaround changes the consequence, then yes, that comes first.
A 10-minute manual check in a low-consequence process is not the same as an exception that affects access, alarm response, a critical environment, or the ability to verify that something happened. What breaks if this goes down? That question tells you how urgently the workaround needs attention.
James, do you buy that? Or does it risk making operators wait for a perfect repair when people need the building working now?
I push back on one part. In the field, restoring service has to happen before every question is answered. If an area is uncomfortable, you stabilize it. If a normal automated step cannot be trusted, you create a controlled manual step. Reliability starts with disciplined maintenance, but discipline cannot become paralysis.
I agree with restoring service. I am pushing back on the idea that restoration ends there. The risk is when the emergency response becomes the only response people can see.
That is fair. Trust the process does not mean refusing to adopt. It means making the adaptation visible enough that the next person understands it and knows it is not the final design.
So the complete job has two parts. Get the outcome back, then restore the visibility and the exit path.
Yes, and a note in a work order is not automatically visibility.
It can be a useful start.
A useful start, yes, but teams sometimes say it is documented when what they have is a vague line that says monitor as needed. That gives everyone the comfort of believing the issue is known while the operating risk remains active.
Hold on. During a busy shift, a short note may be all an operator can create. We should not turn a practical field record into a failure because it's not a complete project plan.
Then what is the minimum that makes the note useful?
Plain language, what changed, what the operator is doing, and what condition tells us to escalate. Add the person or team coordinating the next decision. That can be written in under a minute.
And add a review date or an expiration trigger. Not because a date magically fixes the problem, but because it prevents the workaround from blending into normal operations. If the replacement is expected after the next maintenance cycle, say that. If the review happens at project closeout, name it.
That I fully support. Preventative maintenance beats emergency repairs every time. And preventative attention to operational knowledge matters too.
Let's find the invisible fixes before they become emergencies. What should a supervisor listen for during a normal round?
Listen for extra effort, a repeated handwritten reminder, a taped instruction, a device that is always operated differently from its neighbors, a technician saying, "I checked that one twice," or "You already know about that." Those phrases are operational data. They tell you where the official process and the lived process have separated.
Ask the tenant-facing teams too. What takes longer than it should? What do people have to request manually? Where does somebody say, "It only works when this person is here"? Tenants feel this immediately, even when they never see the system behind the experience.
And the technology team may see a device online while the property team sees 3 people compensating for it.
Exactly. A dashboard can say available while the operation is expensive, inconsistent, or dependent on memory. The property team may focus on whether occupants can enter, work, and receive support. Facilities may focus on whether the building can be operated across shifts. IT or security may focus on visibility and recoverability. None of those views is wrong. The risk appears when they never meet.
Technology should support operations, not complicate them. If an operator has to work around a system every day, that is information the technology team needs. And if the technology team sees a dependency that could affect service, it needs to be explained in language connected to the building's work.
Suppose that review uncovers 10 workarounds. Nobody has the capacity to fix 10 things this month. How do leaders decide what rises first?
Start with consequence, not annoyance. Which condition could interrupt a critical operation, which creates uncertainty during an emergency, which affects physical security, occupant comfort, or the ability to verify that a process occurred, which depends on one person? Those deserve attention before an inconvenience that is visible but well controlled.
Then ask what happens on the worst ordinary day.
Define that for us.
Not the once-in-a-decade disaster. A busy morning, a sick technician, a delayed service call, and a weather change arriving together. If the workaround collapses under that ordinary pressure, it is not a stable contingency. It is a dependency waiting for the right combination of circumstances.
And if tenants or security staff do not know what changed, the downstream impact spreads quickly. A different entry process creates confusion. A changed comfort pattern creates complaints. An unshared manual step can make one team believe a condition was verified when another team never received the message.
That sounds like a communication problem, but not just a communication problem.
Right. Communication is part of the control. Shared visibility does not mean everyone needs every technical detail. It means the groups affected by the outcome understand what has changed, what to expect, and who is coordinating the return to normal.
That is especially important at project closeout. The project team leaves, operators inherit a slightly different system, and everyone assumes somebody else captured the remaining exceptions. Then the next maintenance cycle arrives, and the workaround is treated as historical background instead of an active condition.
So if we were standing in that control room 6 months later, what would you want the team to do first?
Walk the process, not just the equipment. Ask the operator to show what actually happens during that first hour of occupancy. You may find the manual adjustment, the extra verification, and the phone call that never appears in the system record.
Then ask what breaks if the person performing it is unavailable tomorrow. That question exposes single-person dependencies very quickly.
And after that?
Record the condition in plain language. Name the operational effect. Identify the owner who can coordinate the next decision. Set a review date or trigger. Finally, describe what normal looks like when the workaround is retired. Keep it short enough that people will actually use it.
And put the review into a meeting that already exists. Maintenance planning, service reviews, shift handoffs, or project closeout. Do not create a ceremony for every exception. Create a habit of asking whether the exception is still necessary and whether its risk has changed.
That keeps the framework manageable. Identify it, assess the consequence, communicate the change, and retire it when the intended condition returns.
Yes, the best day in operations is the one nobody notices, but only if the quiet routine is resilient, not held together by somebody's private memory.
What breaks if this goes down? Who notices first? Who owns the decision to keep it, change it, or retire it? Those 3 questions turn an invisible exception into something leaders can manage.
Before we close, let's make those questions easy to use this week. First, what are we doing today that is different from the intended process? Second, what happens to the building, its occupants, or its continuity if that workaround fails? And third, who owns the decision to keep it, change it, or retire it?
Put a review date beside the answer, even if the answer is, we still need this for now. That date tells the next person the condition is known and intentional.
And remember, restoring service quickly is responsible. Restoring visibility and an exit path is what keeps that responsibility from becoming tomorrow's risk.
A workaround is not automatically a failure. It becomes a risk when it is invisible, indefinite, or disconnected from ownership. So this week, identify one temporary process in your building or organization. Ask what breaks if it goes away. Name the owner. Then set a review date before the next handoff. That small act can keep a quick fix from becoming an invisible dependency. That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today, we explored how temporary building fixes can become permanent operational debt, and why shared visibility, clear ownership, and a review date can keep a short-term solution from becoming a long-term risk. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world.